Copyright disclaimer. Under Title 17 U.S.C. Section 107, allowance is made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, comment, news reporting, teaching, scholarship, and research. Fair use is permitted by copyright statute that might otherwise be infringing nonprofit, educational, or personal use tips the balance in favor of fair use. Okay, this is from hrc.org. Do No Harm Act. You know, in various types of witchcraft, not all witchcraft is bad, by the way, if you just do a little research. You've got the ones who believe in harming. Those are the ones that do the blood sacrifices and all that, hurting the children. And then you've got the other side. I believe it's called the right-handed path, that believes in no harm. I'm just bringing that up. Do No Harm Act. The Do No Harm Act clarifies that the Religious Freedom Restoration Act is intended to protect religious freedom without allowing the infliction of harm on other people. It would amend RFRA in order to restore the original intent of the legislation by specifically exempting areas of law. Isn't that interesting? Where RFRA has been used to bypass federal protections. It's a little confusing. I need to think about that. 119th Congress, H.R. 1954, S. 894. The problem, when passed into law over 2 decades ago, the Religious Freedom Restoration Act was designed to protect minority religious groups. Does that sound like cults to you? Could be a cult, right? Constitutional right to freely exercise their religious beliefs. Tell me that's not a broad statement. So, like a group like Children of God, open pedophilia, so-called religion, does that protect them too, since they're still in operation? RFRA prohibits the federal government. This sounds like another get-out-of-jail-free card. From substantially burdening. You know, in the courts, they always talk about burden of proof. A person's religious exercise, unless doing so is the least restrictive means of furthering a compelling governmental interest. It's very vague, isn't it? RFRA was supported by a broad coalition of organizations, including many in the civil rights community. I can't help but think of all the civil rights that's been pummeled and trampled on during people, child advocates advocating for children in regards to Scientology. Can't help but think of that. Where were their civil rights? Especially Michael, when he got thrown to the ground by that police officer, who welcomed the law as an important shield from the tyranny of majority rule. Clearly, they only use this when it's convenient for them, obviously. Despite this focused, straightforward intent, individuals and businesses have worked to distort RFRA into a blank check to discriminate. Oh, there's that word again. To discriminate or to impose their religious beliefs on others. In 2014, the U.S. Supreme Court issued a ruling in Burwell versus Hobby Lobby stores, in which the justices were asked to decide whether requiring a corporation to provide insurance coverage that includes contraception under the Affordable Care Act, ACA, is a substantial burden on the corporation with religious objections, and whether corporations are covered by RFRA. The court ruled that closely held for-profit corporations, like Scientology, I'm just saying, are exempt from complying with the ACA contraception mandate based on the company's religious belief under RFRA. In her dissent, Justice Ginsburg expressed her concern that Hobby Lobby could lead to RFRA being used to permit discrimination against minority groups. In August 2016, this concern materialized in a court decision by a federal judge in Michigan in the case EEOC versus RG and GR, Harris Funeral Homes. In the decision, the judge ruled in favor of a Detroit-based funeral home. Here we go, you guys. Here we freaking go with the agendas. Mind you, this didn't exist 5 years ago. Who fired a transgender employee due to her gender identity. So they say, right? So they say. Stating that RFRA could be used as a defense in a sex discrimination claim under Title VII, exempting the employer from Title VII's non-discrimination requirements. The judge specifically relied upon Hobby Lobby in his decision. You guys knew they had to get the agenda in there, right? Although the Sixth Circuit overturned the district court decision in favor of the trans employee, both Harris Funeral Homes and Hobby Lobby illustrate how individuals and businesses are attempting to use RFRA to refuse to comply. Oh, you better comply, people. You better comply. You better obey, slave. Obey. With federal non-discrimination protections and other federal laws based on their religious beliefs. What about a so-called religion, alleged religion, that uses child labor, numerous child sexual assaults, raping of children, and they also believe that children are adults in small bodies? Isn't that a hate crime? Isn't that a hate crime when you don't allow a child to be a child? I think it's a hate crime. It's so funny. They always have to invert everything. Oh my God. Should have known this would go like this. What is the Do No Harm Act? The Do No Harm Act, except for children, because fuck them, right? Clarifies that the Religious Freedom Restoration Act is intended to protect religious freedom without allowing the infliction of harm on other people, like children. It would amend RFRA in order to restore the original intent. Okay, you guys, I'm not a law scholar, but if I'm understanding this right, they're basically just saying that they can undo a law or an act that's already been done. Did I catch that right? We know that they don't have to follow the laws, right? They just make them. So sick of this. It would amend RFRA, so that's what I'm saying. They're gonna just it doesn't matter anymore. To restore the original intent of the legislation by specifically exempting areas of law. You see how they just bend and move things to suit their agendas and what they want? Where RFRA has been used to bypass federal protections. Well, what federal protections are there for these children that are stuck in child labor like the Kingston Group, the incest, the child raping, the child brides in Latter-day Saints, some of the Mormon groups, not all of them. Child brides in Scientology? What are the children in Scientology and these other groups, like the Kingston Group? What are their federal protections? What are their federal protections, FBI, Homeland Security? What are those children's protections? These include well-settled areas of law designed to protect our most vulnerable populations. I would just guess that would be children, right, you guys? Let's see what they're going to say. Here we go. This is good in theory. Including child labor and abuse. Like I said, it's good in theory. Equal employment and non-discrimination. Except when you're in a religion, then anything goes, right? You can call people that are working 18, 19 hours, you can call them volunteers. And not have to pay them or pay taxes. Equal employment and non-discrimination, except when it comes to kids, because, fuck them. Health care, federal contracts and grants, and government services. You gotta love, though, all these cults getting government funding. Isn't that wonderful, you guys? Absolutely phenomenal to continue to support these cults that are utilizing child labor, enduring and physically abusing the children, neglecting the children, sexually abusing the children. But for some reason, these various groups are able to get government funding, like Scientology. Unreal. I always say birds of a feather. Non-discrimination healthcare. Scientologists don't really get much of that, do they? If they're on the lower salary or lower income. Federal contracts and grants in government services. Can't help but think of that cult that was going on in Kansas City. It was an African-American cult, so-called Muslim, I believe. Go look into it. The Do No Harm Act therefore ensures that religious freedom. You guys remember freedom is a 33. You think that's an accident? Go look it up. Go to the Gematrinator and look it up. Is used as a shield to protect the constitutional right, what a joke, to free exercise of religion. It's like they're trying to use this to trump all the other things. You know what I mean? That's what it seems like. And not a sword to discriminate. I guess discrimination is not calling children adults in small bodies, huh? This is too much. This is too much. I don't even want to read this. This is making me sick. Broad support numerous LGBT, civil rights, health, and faith groups. Support the Do No Harm Act. Why do we always have to be in groups? Can't we just be human beings? Can't we just be human beings minding our own business? Including the ACLU, AIDS United Americans, United for Separation of Church and State, which they just got finished telling us that these so-called small religions, or in my opinion, cults, are entitled to government funding. Talk about mixture of church and state. I mean, I'm not an expert, but come on, I can figure it out. Center for American Progress, Interfaith Alliance. I don't want to read this. It's all a bunch of baloney. The Leadership Conference on Civil and Human Rights. So if they haven't gotten the children out of Scientology, they're not doing anything. NAACP, National Center for TRANS. You know, the TRANS that didn't exist until 2020. All of a sudden it was a thing. Okay. Current status of the bill. The Do No Harm Act was reintroduced on March 6, 2025. The House of Representatives by Reps Bobby Scott, Democrat, Virginia, Jamie Raskin, Democrat, Maryland, Mary Gay Scanlon, Democrat, Pennsylvania, and Stephen Cohen, Democrat, Tennessee. Seeing a pattern here? And in the Senate by Senator Cory Booker, Democrat, New Jersey. For more information, please contact legislation@hrc.org. What does this have to do with LGBT? Oh my God. And you guys know I have a lot of LGBT friends. So it's, you guys, if you know, you know. So this is last updated March 28th, 2025. I will leave a link in the description box. Like and subscribe if you choose.